Meeting to order. Roll call. Hi, Ms. Trey. All right, we're gonna, Ms. Chrissy, can you do roll call, please?
District 1, Mr. Lejeune.
Here.
District 3, Mr. Edmond. Here. District 4, Ms. Trahan. Here. District 5, Mr. Lachele.
Here.
District 6, Mr. Vacheron.
Here.
District 7, Ms. LeBou.
Here.
District 8, Ms. Mason.
Here.
District 9, Mr. Hidalgo.
Present.
District 2 is currently vacant.
Okay, thank you. Can we, Mr. Lachele, can you raise the pledge?
Sure.
And move into silence.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, moving into our action items. 2.1, appointment of individual to fill school board member vacancy in District 2. I'd like to open up nominations.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to nominate Ted Davidson.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? All right, well, hearing none. All right. Call the vote. Okay. Our attorney says that we. All right. All right, now we're going to have public comment. Is there any public comment? You have to come to the mic. If you have you have to come to the mic. You have to come to the mic, ma'am. And you have to state your name, please.
Suzanne Lachenet. Is the public allowed to nominate somebody or just board members?
It's only board nomination.
Do we have a policy about that?
I'm going to refer to our attorney.
By law, only the board appoints, so it's the board decisions on who they nominate and who they ultimately appoint.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, next.
Wayne Colvin. In the spirit of transparency that the LPSS wants to demonstrate, I'd like to know how many candidates applied, just to kind of get a feel for what, you know, the review process and who looked at the criteria and how did we come up with just one and who else, you know, did and what criteria was used. It seems like that the public should know, you know, that other candidates and what other names were considered there. And that's part of the problem. We don't know, there's no transparency here to say what other things were considered. And that's a problem with why people have with the LPSS is can't get any information about this. I mean, if people have applied and they're not, you know, can't get answers from the public, to the public from these type of questions, it's bothersome that we don't even know what criteria y'all use, what vouching process you use, you know, what their intentions were, you know, do they intend to run, you know, in an election in the fall and that sort of thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Ma'am, I'm sorry, you've already commented.
I'm sorry.
You already had your comment.
I need a question for clarification to the whole public body.
I'm going to refer to the attorney.
Board policy says an individual can only
All right, do we have any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Tammy Bennett. I'm just curious why it is when so many in the public emailed almost all of you and requested that Dr. McZeal be nominated, nobody even is putting her name out there when it's obvious that many in the public do want that. Many in the community do. Do we matter? No?
All right, is there any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we move to board comment. Mr. Britt Latchley?
I can answer all of y'all's questions. Okay, you knew there was a vacancy because of the resignation in District 2. The criteria, sir, is you have to live in District 2. You most likely have to be over 18 years old and a member in good standing in society. And anybody could have contacted any board member and say, I'd like to be nominated.
She did.
And that didn't happen.
She did. Dr. McZeal did. She did.
Nobody nominated her. Okay? So nobody nominated her. That's not my fault. Okay? It's not my fault. So it was open. We have nothing to do with this. No. We were contacted that Mr. Davidson would like to be considered. He's here.
Represent the people.
What is that?
Way to represent the people.
Okay, I'm gonna have to limit outbursts
Yeah.
from the public.
Look, you
This
can't
is
blame
the
us
first
for who
warning.
did or didn't apply. You can't. It is impossible to blame us, but here's the deal, okay? Because y'all seem to be able to say what y'all want to say. There's nothing we'll ever do up here that will appease some of y'all. So guess what? On my placard, it says District 5. District 5 has no problems. District 5 is fine, okay? Okay? So all a person had to do was be a resident of District 5, contact a board member to have themselves nominated.
She did.
I'm not nominating, I don't know her. Oh, well, don't blame me. That's all my comments. You can go to comment or go to vote.
Do we have any other board comment? Yes, Mr. Roddy Bersham?
I'll just go on the record and say, I did not receive an email, a phone call, or a text message from any candidate asking to be nominated. And if anybody wants to do a public records request on my email, I did receive, I think, 5 or 6 emails from individuals in the community asking to nominate her. I did not receive an email. So just to be clear, if someone wants to be nominated in District 2, they could have reached out, email, text, phone call, whatever, and asked me. I didn't receive anybody. So just to be clear and just to be on the record and to be as transparent as possible, I'm just letting everyone know. I did not receive an email from any candidate, and I'm going to even say, including Mr. Davidson, about wanted the District 2 seat. So just to be clear.
Mr. Adaga?
I too did not receive emails from any candidate. However, I went through Leadership Lafayette with Dr. McZeal in 2013, so I know her. So when I saw the emails come through, I called her on the phone and we had a conversation. I'm not going to share that conversation. She's welcome to if she'd like to, but I did speak to her.
Yes, Mr. Edmond?
Just to echo what everybody else said, I did get the emails from everybody about Dr. McZeal, and I also had a conversation with Dr. McZeal, and if she wants to speak about that, she can as well.
Ms. LeBeau?
Yeah, I'll just echo what Roddy said, which is I received 4 emails saying that, or 4 or 5 emails saying that they'd like to recommend her, but as far as her recommending herself, I never had received anything. So I didn't receive anything from anybody nominating anybody, as Roddy said. So that's the interest that I saw from the public.
Yes, Ms. Trahan?
So good evening, everyone. We as board members, we did all receive the correspondence that came through regarding Dr. McZeal. But I'd like to ask our legal a question regarding the temporary appointment term, because I think that's kind of part of the elephant in the room for some of us. some of us as board members in regards to that. And it's because when you are temporarily appointed, are you able to run again in the election, or is that just simply for that temporary appointment time until the election?
My understanding is that even if you're temporarily appointed, you still could theoretically run if you want to. And again, this appointment, of course, would be temporary. And the next item on the agenda is for the board to call the special election, or actually the election to fill the seat. So this appointment would essentially be to get you until the fall elections.
Okay, so, with that clarity, and I think what some of us understood as board members, that if we were to nominate someone temporarily during this term, then they could not run for the seat in itself, come whatever that term is. And so, we have received information on Dr. Maxill, and I think some of us had not said, okay, we would recommend, nominate her, because we know she wants to run for the seat. And so that's kind of our pause. And I think I can speak for some of my fellow board members. And if that's not the case, that she can run as well, then, and if she's here, I would gladly nominate her for the.
I'm sorry. The nominations are closed. Can I refer to their attorney, please?
I would allow the nomination.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
So we need to reopen nominations. Okay, I didn't get to finish board comment, but can I have privilege to speak, please? Okay, so I received 3 different nominations. I received several phone calls about Ted Davison, even all the way up till today. I received 5 emails for Dr. McZeal, and then I received a couple of phone calls about another person who's not here tonight. So I received 3 different nominations, but I received the most phone calls about Mr. Ted Davison. So you can check records. That's what I have received as president. So, all right. Are there any other nominations?
I'm finished with my comments.
Okay, but you're.
Yes, I'll nominate Dr. Maxill.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have 2 nominations. We have ballots ready, and Miss Christie or Ms. Jennifer Gardner has the ballots. And Mr. Alvarez, can you please give the...
I have a question.
I'm sorry, it's not time for public comment.
There's a new nomination, there's new public comment.
Attorney, can you please advise us?
The vote has not been made.
Just one question?
Yeah.
Okay, you can sit down and state your name, please.
My name is Stephanie Gary. We have a new nomination for Dr. McZeal. We need public comment regarding Dr. McZeal.
Go ahead.
So, many of you admitted that you didn't hear from Ted or from him or our community, but you did get a request from Dr. McZeal, from the community and herself, that would carry weight. I strongly recommend that the board abstain from taking action on this item. This matter is currently pending before the courts with a preliminary injunction in place, moving forward with rescinding.
That's not germane to this topic.
Dr. Stasha Aber-McZeal represents exactly the kind of leadership the school board needs at this moment. She brings decades of direct educational experience in a wide range of roles that touch nearly every aspect of academic leadership. She currently serves as Dean of Liberal Arts and Humanities. Her background is not narrow, it is comprehensive. She has been Director of Distance Education, Department Chair of English, leader of both the English and Social Sciences departments simultaneously, Director of the Quality Enhancement Plan, Program Coordinator for one of the college's largest degree programs. She's taught both English and psychology, holds a PhD in psychology, bringing both expertise and administrative leadership to the table. She also served as Public Relations Director for the Louisiana Community and Technical College System and worked as a Program Director for the Lafayette Volunteer Lawyers Pro Bono Program, demonstrating experience not just in education, but in public service, communication, and community engagement. This type of resume that reflects deep institutional knowledge, policy understanding, and student-centered leadership. Beyond those qualifications, Dr. McZeal has demonstrated something just as important, commitment. She ran for this very seat. She put herself before the voters. She earned 36% of the vote, representing real people in this district who believed in her leadership. That is 36% more than zero. Ted Davidson, by contrast, did not run. Appointing Dr. McZeal is not just about credentials, it's about respecting the voices of those voters who showed up and supported her candidacy, and ignoring that would dismiss a significant portion of the District 2 community.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Madam President, just based on the fact that there's two nominations, would you be willing to allow the two nominees 3 minutes to have an opportunity to speak? I mean, you know, I know we're only appointing somebody till November, but we're appointing somebody to serve in another community. And so if you would allow them 3 minutes to speak, this is not about, I don't know anything about a coach at all. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I would like to know something. So with your permission, I would like to at least hear from them.
All right, I'll allow it. Mr. Ted Davidson, would you mind coming up to the mic, please? Sorry, we're having a different procedure. All right. Would you like them to just introduce themselves?
Please, just, they're going to be serving on the school board with us, whoever's, you know, we choose. And before, I know some folks have already voted, but before I vote, I'd like to hear from both of them.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Mr. Davidson, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us your background?
I'll go ahead. My background is I spent 42 years in public education system, 36 here in Lafayette Parish. I was at Acadiana High School for those years. I was a classroom teacher for several years, and then I was also a track coach and head football coach at Acadiana High School. I have great interest in this particular parish. I have grandkids now that are here, and they will be looking for an education. I have great interest in serving my community, which is primarily the Karen Crow community. I do know that I have worked outside of that community, but I've lived in Karen Crow for 35 years, and it is now where I call home, and that's, I like to serve, and I don't have a particular agenda. My agenda is to serve my district and to serve the students of Lafayette Parish, and also would like, you know, and to assist the employees of Lafayette Parish and supplying them with the tools that they need to educate our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. McZeal, would you like to come up to the mic?
Good evening. I just came to watch the board meeting. Didn't prepare anything. I am a lifelong resident of Karen Crow. I ran for this seat twice, once against Mr. Angel and against Chad. One of my reasons is because I grew up in Karen Crow, and I went to Karen Crow Middle and Karen Crow High, and I sit here based on the representation of all the educators that educated me. I am a doctor of psychology, but my passion for education is because of the teachers I had at Karen Crow High School. I don't know Coach Davidson, but I have respect for his daughter Laura because she's worked with my daughter on cheer stuff, and we developed a relationship, so I know that he can do just as good a job as me. So I am going to run for this position in November. That is my plan because I want to serve the people in my community. I just got back from a conference on community colleges, and one of the things we were talking about was dual enrollment and workforce for our students. And I know with the Career Center and what we do at the community college, dual enrollment will get the students to further themselves, and I'm very passionate about that. So my big thing is collaboration, and even though it would be a District 2 seat, there are 8 other districts, and we all have to work together to get the job done. So whatever happens, happens, but I'll see you in November.
Thank you. I'm sorry, there's no applause. All right. Call for the vote. Please pass your ballots.
I will read the voting results. Josh Edmond, Dr. McZeal, Jeremy Hidalgo, Dr. McZeal, Roddy Bajaron Davidson, Britt Lachele, Ted Davidson, Kate LeBou, Ted Davidson, David Lejeune, Ted Davidson, Hannah Mason, Ted Davidson, Amy Trahan, Dr. McZeal.
All right.
Ted Davidson had a total of 5 votes, and Dr. McZeal had 3 votes. Mr. Davidson will now represent District 2.
All right, thank you. All right. Our attorney is ready to swear Mr. Davidson in. Mr. Davidson, your family can hold the Bible.
member of School Board District 2, according to the best of my ability and understanding, so help me God.
All right, due to several outbursts, we're gonna put up the rules that we have for our board policy on public meetings here. Thank you. Yes. All right, I'm going to go through the rules for us. Public comment on agenda items. The school board shall allow public comment at any meeting of the school board prior to taking a vote on an agenda item. Public comment shall be allowed for each agenda item upon which the school board will take action and shall occur after a formal motion regarding the agenda has been made and seconded and prior to school board member discussion of and action on the agenda item. Once the school board has begun its deliberation on an agenda item, there shall be no further public comment on that item. The school board's procedures for persons wishing to be heard at a school board meeting on matters relating to the school board agenda items are as follows. Number 1, all comments are to be no longer than 3 minutes. Public comments may be extended or shortened at the discretion of the school board president. Number 2, each person may speak only once on an agenda item unless recognized by the school board president to speak again. Number 3, if a group of interested persons is present, the group must assign no more than 2 speakers or representatives of the group to speak on behalf of the group. Number 4, the school board will receive public comment only on agenda items upon which a motion for the action is made, and comments on each item will be restricted to the subject matter of such motion for action. Number 5, during public comment, individuals shall refrain from asking questions or making requests of the school board members, the superintendent, or staff. No accusatory comments or comments relative to the performance of specific employees or potential employees shall be permitted. If anyone needs a copy, they can have one.
Can we make a comment on this?
No, ma'am. You've already been warned, and if you keep having outbursts, you will be removed. Moving on, item 2.2, discussion and/or action adoption of resolution 04-026-2175 entitled Call for Special Election to Fill Vacancy in District 2.
Madam President, I'd like to ask that the board adopt resolution 04-026-2175, call for special election to fill vacancy in District 2.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Bajon, a second by Mr. Wycherley. Public comment? Oh, sorry, do I need to read? Okay, I'll read after. All right, public comment? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, is there any board comment? Seeing none, I'm going to read the resolution. Okay. Call for special election to fill vacancy in District 2. Resolution 04-026-2175. Whereas Lafayette Parish School Board has received official notification from the Louisiana Secretary of State confirming the resignation of District 2 Board Member Chad DeZarmo effective April 1st, 2026. And whereas with the resignation of Chad DeZarmo, a vacancy exists in the office of Lafayette Parish School Board District 2. And whereas because the unexpired term of office in that position will exceed 1 year, a special election will be required to fill such vacancy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the school board hereby calls a special election to fill the vacancy in the office of Lafayette Parish School Board District 2 for the remainder of the unexpired term as follows. Number 1, the dates for qualifying for the candidates in the special election shall be July 29th, 2026, July 30th, 2026, and July 31st, 2026. And number 2, the date for the special primary election will be November 3rd, 2026. And number 3, the date for the special general election will be December 12th, 2026. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be published in the official journal of the school board, and that the additional copies be sent by certified or registered mail to the clerk of court of Lafayette Parish, the registrar of voters of Lafayette Parish, and the Louisiana Secretary of State as required by law. Madam Secretary, I call for the vote.
Mr. Lochley?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. LeBeau?
Yes.
Ms. Trahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes.
Mr. Boardroom?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mr. Lejeune?
Yes.
Yes.
9 for, none against.
All right, thank you. Moving to 2.3. Discussion and/or action to consider rescinding the board's prior vote taken at the March 12th, 2026 regular board meeting pertaining to agenda item 3.5, entitled Discussion and/or Action to Take Comeaux High School offline for the 2026-27 and repurpose the campus.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move to rescind the board's March 12 vote on agenda item 3.5 relative to the repurposing of Comeaux High.
Second.
I'm not finished.
Sorry.
And to bring the matter back to the board following a public hearing to be held next week.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Brett Latchley, a second by Mr. Roddy Bergeron. Do I have any public comment?
So before I get to the meat and potatoes of what I'm
Ma'am, you
going
need
to
to
say.
state your name.
Oh, Suzanne Lagenet. Before I get to the meat and potatoes of what I'm going to say, I'm going to start off by enacting my statutory rights of Louisiana Revised Statute 4215A. It's the governing law for open meetings, which allows me the ability to speak without time limitations, and anyone can speak before the vote, not just before board comments. Just in case you try to violate my rights by limiting my comments, I just wanted to clear this up on public record. I strongly recommend that the board abstain from taking any action on this item. This matter is currently pending before the court of law with a preliminary injunction in place. Moving forward with rescinding the prior vote under these circumstances raises very serious concerns. It appears to be an attempt to circumvent and evade the legal process rather than respect it and the judge. There was also an effort, if many of y'all don't know, prior to the release of this agenda, for this meeting tonight to be a public hearing on agenda item 3.5. However, our counsel advised the board against this approach. Now what we're seeing is a sequence of actions, first rescinding the prior vote, then on tomorrow's agenda issuing information that a public hearing is going to be taking place April 23rd, and ultimately proceeding with that hearing, which is going to lead to the exact same predetermined outcome of closing Comeaux High School. Taken together, these steps create the appearance of deliberately working around the preliminary injunction rather than complying with it. This is very deeply concerning. This board has a responsibility to act in the good faith and to uphold both the law and the public trust. Advancing this item at this time risks undermining both.
Do I have any other public comment? If you have a comment, you can just go ahead and come up. Thank you.
Wayne Colvin, I have questions and considerations for this item. One of the items there is, it pertains to something we're going to address a little bit later, but it's also relevant to this one because it deals with the district administrative rule and criteria. One of them says, the district should give balanced consideration to the following criteria: time, distance, and safety of students traveling between home and school. Now, when we start transferring all these kids from one side of the river to the other side, and we're talking about 500 students, what is the major obstacles of traveling in this city? The river. You know, what is the busiest roads? Ambassador Caffrey, Johnson Street, E. Broussard. How difficult it is, how much time it takes. You know, this is going to add a lot of time and a lot of risk involved. Suppose these things have an accident. You know, suppose there's an accident and kids are delayed. Now, the other part of it, suppose your kids want to participate in after-school activities, and they're over at Acadiana High School, you know. Well, then you got to go pick them up at 4:30 or 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And you got to drive all the way across there, and you live on the east side of the river. You know, you want to travel down East Bruce, Ambassador Caffrey and fight all that traffic? The other day, I came to this meeting here back in March, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I waited for 3 light interchanges to get across from Kalisa Loom to across Ambassador Caffrey. That's how much traffic there is. And if you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to go try and drive at that. It'd be frustrating. What the parents are going to do, they're going to say, oh, this is not worth it, you know. Or what if the kid misses the bus in the morning, you know? Oh, now I got to bring him over there and I'm going to be late for work, you know? How's that going to work with your work situation, you know? Those kind of things are just need to be considered, you know? It's impractical. And why haven't we zoned any middle school for Comeaux High School? You know, I mean, this is just impractical. You know, they're supposed to rezone these schools every 3 years, you know? Now, also, I want to talk about, this thing is a long time in making. Back in 27 of 24, we spent, there was a budget item, 10 million, you know, 10 million. Here it is, you know, 33% goes to Southside, 38% goes to Comeaux High, you know, 21% to Lafayette High, 6.8% to Acadiana High, you know, 0 to Comeaux High School. This is the request by the superintendent. First item on this thing here. It's part of y'all fiscal year, you know, Fund 80 and Fund 45.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to remind the public that we need to stay on topic. Thank you. This is the rescinding of the vote or not.
Can I ask a question before I start speaking then? Even though I know I'm not supposed to question, I want to make sure I'm reading at the correct time.
Sorry, it's not questions.
Okay, so I guess I'll just read it.
Yeah, state your name, please.
My name, good evening all. My name is Tammy Bennett. I am the parent to 3 children, 2 of which are luckily already graduated, and my baby will blessedly be graduating this year. I am here because I'm questioning what we're all doing here. You are voting tonight to rescind your decision. Obviously, this is what I would like to see happen for the good of the community. However, I know, along with many others, that this is just a ruse. It looks to myself, as well as many, that you are working on a plan A to rescind your vote to get rid of the lawsuit so that you can do what you should have done in the first place. But just in case that doesn't work through, Plan B, you change the rules for transportation so any Comeaux students that dare to defy you on their own are on their own. It's disgusting that I even have to state my opposition to all of this. If this is truly your intent, which of course we all know that you would never admit, what you are telling us is your community does not matter. And we may be able to sit at a board meeting and voice our opinion, but we don't deserve a conversation and we don't deserve to have any of our questions answered. And we're all well aware that because of what's on the agenda for tomorrow's meeting, that you plan on hosting a public hearing to discuss the closing of Comeaux. However, by your previous votes, it's obvious that it really doesn't matter. Will we even get a fair shot to discuss our ideas and feelings? Will you even take any of this into consideration, or will you just try to shut us up again at your special board meeting directly following that hearing to do exactly what you always intended? You all represent us. Most importantly, our children. We elected you. Ms. Mason, I elected you. I voted for you. I emailed you 5 times last year. You didn't respond once. Not once. Sorry. A court already let you all know that they thought you were wrong by imposing a temporary injunction. So your response was, on the same day, to set this meeting. Not only are you implying that we don't matter, but you're letting a judge know she doesn't matter either. I would thank you all for your time, but the truth is, I have nothing to thank you for, because I know none of you care.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment?
Hi, I'm Sarah Lynn Carpenter. I'm here to represent my grandson. You know, he was in the last meeting, and when we got in the car, he said, "I love my school." You know, what could I say to him? He's a 4.0 student. He loves football, but he loves Comeaux. So I really want y'all to think about this. You know, and you know what this has done to him. I can't speak for any of the other children, but I'm a good grandmother because I'm there at every place. But, you know, it hurt him. Why? I couldn't tell him. You know, it's just sad. I'm sad for the children. You know, so I hope y'all have a heart. And just think about it. You know, when you hear those words, I love my school. I love Comeaux. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
Hello, my name is Sarah Bennett, and I didn't even plan on speaking on this, but I do want to point out that by rescinding your vote and setting a new meeting for tomorrow for y'all to hold this public hearing that we've been asking for, that we asked y'all to do from the get-go to follow your own policy, you'll schedule the public meeting for 11:30 when all the students would be at school. So that's just to say that's how much you care. On April 23rd.
Excuse me. Do we need to correct? Okay, would you mind stating what is currently, or do I need to state what's currently scheduled?
Public hearing is currently scheduled for.
Yeah.
Or Superintendent, can you state when the next?
So next Thursday, which is the 23rd, the public hearing will be at 3 p.m. and it will start at 3 p.m. and the special board meeting will follow.
Okay, well, on your
Thank
agenda,
you.
if you go back and look at your agenda, it says 11:30 a.m. Thank you.
Just for reference, it has been updated. It was updated before the meeting started. It was updated, yes, it was updated this morning, and it says 3 p.m., just for the record.
Yes, sorry, it was updated. Is there any other public comment? All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Briley Hammett. I was here last meeting. I don't know if you remember me or not. I shouldn't have to say this because we should have gotten a better outcome last meeting. We're back here again today because of your selfish wants, needs, and ideas. Like I promised last meeting, I will come again and again to save my school, and that's what brings me here today. We as Spartans did what we could to save our school even after we were told what we couldn't change the outcome yet here we are again today. Like I said last meeting, I'm a junior at Comeaux High School, hoping to return as a senior. I am a Spartan at heart and always will be. Even after we told we would all be split up next year, the bad news didn't end there. I am a Comeaux student. I'm a choir student. I got my letterman from choir and was heartbroken when I found out that most of the choir programs, aside from Lafayette High Schools, would be shut down. That's not fair to people like me who've been in choir since my elementary school years. I am now zoned for Acadiana. How is that fair to me or anyone else not zoned for Lafayette? And what about the teachers? Me and my family spent over $1,000 on my senior ring and my letterman, which mind you both say Comeaux High School. If my school closes, my items will be nothing more than a memory. Please, when you're making your vote, put aside your selfish ideas, and again, choose greatness, choose kindness, and choose Comeaux Spartans.
All right, thank you. Is there any further public comment? Thank you. Just to remind everyone again, this is whether to rescind the vote or not. All right, we're going to have to go. If there's many more, whoever's next should be already sitting at the desk. There are 2 seats. Is there anyone after this person? Okay, just be ready. Thank you. All right, you may proceed.
My name is Brooklyn Hammett. I did not have anything prepared, but I did not go to Comeaux, but I did go to Lafayette High, and it is a great school. However, going to, like, my sister is in choir, and I went to every, like, performance, every, like, little get-together for, like, fundraisers and stuff. And not one time did I feel left out or forgotten about, even though I didn't go to that school. I felt so welcome, and that is just something you don't experience from much places. Usually when you don't go somewhere, people don't really respect you as much because they think you don't get it. But the choir teacher, the students, everyone made me feel so welcome, and it would just be a shame if you shifted and moved all these nice teachers and students away from where they already feel welcome and make everyone else feel welcome. But that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Just another reminder, this is to rescind the vote or not. All right, is there anyone else for public comment? Okay, I guess you're the last one. Thank you.
My name is Howard Jenkins. I didn't prepare anything. I haven't been able to speak at the last couple meetings. The last one due to short notice, and the one before that due to other circumstances. But I'm here to talk about Comeaux, and Comeaux's done a lot for me as a person. I came here my sophomore year, and I'm currently in the ROTC program, beta, and a couple other programs. And I've watched this whole process. My aunt is very involved in this, and I've been to all the court dates and everything, and like I have a very good understanding of what's going on. And before I speak about the school, I want to talk about the community. I'm very thankful that I have people that care about my school as much as I care about my school. Especially that's not like not a student at our school. Like I like seeing that the community supports us. Because I got to Comeaux my sophomore year, I was a very different person than I am now. I wouldn't even have the confidence to sit in front of you and speak. But these speaking skills have been developed through my time in ROTC. And my instructors that have supported me and my teachers that when they see me slacking, they help me. My GPA is 3 something. Back when I came here, it was 1 something. I've lost over 100 pounds. I've developed friends. I got a full-ride scholarship to Southern University. So like it's a lot of good things have come, and I honestly think that any other school I wouldn't have been able to do this much. It's the circumstances, the whole thing, the teachers, the community, and the students that I'm around. I think all of that is what helped me become who I am today, and I would like y'all to reflect on my words today when y'all choose to vote again.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, move to board comment. Sorry, Mr. Jeremy Aladago.
More of a question, and probably for legal or the superintendent. I haven't been part of the court case, so, you know, I only hear what I've been informed of and what I see in the media. I have to assume that you have considered the judge's decisions, orders, whatever you call them in law, prior to putting this on the agenda. Can you just speak to that, just so there could be some clarity? Because, you know, it's not just a yes or no vote here. A board member could abstain from voting if it's warranted. So I'd like to know what thought was put into it, whatever you can say.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir. As was mentioned at the court hearing on Monday, well, I guess let's go back even before the court hearing on Monday. Essentially, after the board voted, you know, what this lawsuit alleged was that it wasn't necessarily a defect in the vote count or anything like that. The vote count was what it was. The allegations in the lawsuit was that the board did not take certain procedural steps that allegedly needed to be taken in order to get to that point of voting. And if you look in the nature of the petition, you know, a lot of the relief requested is essentially asking the court to order the board to go back and do a public hearing to prevent the board from moving forward until it does a public hearing. That was the relief that was requested in the lawsuit. We did have a court hearing Monday, and the judge, after hearing the matter, you know, did decide to go ahead and grant a preliminary injunction. And, you know, we certainly respect the judge's decision to do that. We don't necessarily agree with it, but we respect the court and the court's decision. That being said, you know, the way we understand the court's decision is that the school board cannot continue to implement the closure of Comeaux High School, essentially the vote that it took at the March 12th meeting. You cannot continue to implement that particular vote. Which, as soon as that injunction was issued, the board has not taken any further steps in furtherance of the action decided by that vote. But, you know, as recognized in the petition itself, you know, that does not, in our opinion, stop the board from essentially doing what was requested in the petition and to, you know, go back and start the process over. So essentially, once the injunction came out, you know, we looked at your options and, you know, essentially, you know, instead of keeping this thing tied up in court, which is not, in our opinion, it's not good for the board, it's not good for the citizens, it's not good for the students at Comeaux just to have this hanging out there. Rather than to, you know, proceed to, you know, just litigate it, you know, we felt that the best option for the board and probably the quickest way to get to finality, one way or the other, is to just go back and start the process over. And that's essentially, you know, what this item is designed to do. So, you know, we don't believe that this would be in derogation of the court's order. You know, as I appreciate it, that's essentially what the court wanted the school board to do, essentially go back and do a hearing and follow the requirements of the rule.
Thank you. I asked that question to you because of 2 phone calls that I received, and they were pretty intense phone calls. And I just want to be sure that I'm on good footing when I vote.
Thank you. I appreciate the question. Do we have any? Yes, Mr. Bergeron. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to essentially ask the same thing that Jeremy did, like what, since the court case has come up, that we need to discuss, and you've answered the questions. What I want to say to the public is, look, if the public believes we didn't follow our own administrative procedure, I'm all for going back and redoing it and following our own administrative procedure, right? The rules are the rules, and we have to follow our own rules regardless of how we feel about closing Comeaux, opening Comeaux, keeping it open, moving the Career Center, not moving the Career Center, rebuilding the Career Center, like however we feel about that. We need to follow our own administrative rules. I'm all for having a public forum if we have to. I don't disagree with the idea of having a public forum. We should have a public forum. If you want us to reconsider, all right, I just want to be clear, we have to rescind our vote, right? If the first step towards reconsideration, or if the step towards reconsideration has to happen, the first thing has to be to rescind the vote, because as long as the vote is active, the item has to be litigated. So again, You can ask anybody this morning, today, I didn't know how I was gonna feel and or vote about this today. Still unclear a little bit how I should proceed. But if the idea is to have a public forum, have an open discussion, come up with alternative ideas, and to essentially hear out anything that we can about Comeaux, to me, the first step has to be to rescind the vote, because as long as the vote sits, the other stuff is ancillary, right? We can't reconsider until the vote gets basically removed. Am I correct in that statement? That's illegal. Like, if we had to reconsider the vote, we'd have to either rescind it or bring the Comeaux discussion back up.
That's essentially what this is for, is
Okay.
to bring the Comeaux discussion back up and basically start the process all over again. Again, using, essentially doing what the petition I asked to do, is to do, have a hearing.
Okay. All right.
thank-
And the other thing, just to round out, like, the board, just to be clear, the meeting next Thursday is set for 3 p.m. Okay. All right, just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you very much.
Kate, Ms. LeBou was before you.
Yeah, just
Sure.
Mr. Alvarez, just to clarify, there's no they did not determine there was a violation of any open meetings law. It's an internal administrative policy only that is not put in legislation. It's only been passed internally by the Lafayette Parish School Board that she's saying that needed to be followed, correct?
That is our understanding of it. The judge orally ruled from the bench and granted the preliminary injunction. Obviously, there's a written judgment that has to be submitted, and we've been in contact with the plaintiff's attorney on that, working on that. But essentially, I believe that's a fair estimate of how the judge reached the decision. We can't say exactly how, but that's kind of how we appreciate it. That it appears that the court was concerned about the administrative rule and whether there was a public hearing or not.
Okay, but not a violation of law per se in the revised statutes, correct? As to open meetings law.
I can't say that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. There's no outbursts from the public. Mr. Lejeune.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Couple of things that I want to clear up from comments that were made. The gentleman said there were no middle school students zoned for Comeaux High. There are middle school students that are zoned to Comeaux High. They just do not have a feeder school for themselves. So they have students that are zoned to Comeaux. Whether they choose to go or not, that's a parent's choice. And the second comment that I really take offense to is the lady that spoke and said, no one up here cares. I spent 34 years in the system. And if I didn't care, I wouldn't have fought twice to keep the school open. So I thank you for your comment, but it is not true. There are people up here that care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lejeune. I'd like to echo Mr. Lejeune's sentiments. This position is not easy. The reason that all of us ran, at least the reason I ran, was because I cared so much. And during the pandemic, I felt like I had 30,000 kids. Every single day, all day long, I do nothing but care about the kids of our parish. All 29,000 plus of them. Is there any other board comment? Yes. Ms. Trahan.
So I just also would like to ask legal, what we're doing here in terms of potentially rescinding the vote from last month's meeting, would this stop the legal action that is currently in the courts right now? And would we be violating anything by doing so? I need some clarity on that.
Yes, Ms. Trahan, thank you for that. in our opinion, and again, we're still waiting on a judgment here, but, based on the allegations that was put in the petition, the relief that was requested in the petition, again, the petition was to essentially tell the school board to go back and redo things. And that's essentially what the school board is now deciding to go ahead and do. That's the purpose of this item. So it's our appreciation that, I think we're actually doing what, as we understand it, the court would want us to do, to go back and do it in accordance with the rule and to have the hearing. And what was the other part of your questions?
I just want to make certain that we as board members aren't doing anything that goes against the court, because this is an active litigation right now. And so I'm just really concerned about that and how that impacts this whole situation. So I've never done anything illegal in my life, and I'm not going to start doing so today. And so that's why I just need some clarity.
And Ms. Trahan, we certainly don't want to do that either. Again, we understand and believe that we're actually complying with what the court wants us to do. As we understand it, the preliminary injunction essentially prevents the school board from moving forward with the agenda item at the March meeting that was voted upon by the board to repurpose Comeaux High School. And again, as soon as the court issued that injunction, the school board stopped moving forward with that item. And essentially, what this matter is designed to do is to go ahead and restart that process again, which should not run afoul of anything in the preliminary injunction, as we understand it.
Thank you for that clarification. And just to the community that's here and the community that's listening in, I really do want to say my same sentiments apply tonight as it did last board meeting. And I want to make certain that that is echoed and resonates, because I think of all of the students in the parish as if they were my children as well. I look at it through that lens. And so be it if there is any question to that, how we all here up on this board feel about the students in Lafayette Parish school system, I think that it is a collective effort in terms of all of the students, that we see all of the students in our parish, not just from one side of the river, as this gentleman stated here earlier. So.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Latchley.
I'm not going to say it as forceful as Mr. Lejeune, but I'm going to remind y'all, twice I tried to save Comeaux, okay? And I guess as a board member that voted to close Comeaux twice, I should have gone hide. But they had the meet and greet at Acadiana April 1st. And where do you think I was? Front and center, greeting these kids and these parents. Over 100 and something kids showed up. They walked in quiet and they left excited. You can shake your head, no, I was there. Okay? I had parents come up and talk to me who their kids spoke. I had kids come up to me. Some of them are actually excited. Okay? So please don't say we don't care. But there's just sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Okay? You got to do what you got to do. And sometimes it comes down to a high school will not survive with 600 and something kids. The Broussard Charter is going to damage Comeaux. And I can promise you right now, if Comeaux was kept open, there's a good bit of these students that aren't going to go back. I talked to parents. You can't, ma'am, you're going to have to follow the rules. You had public comment. You can't keep outbursts. You can't keep raising your hands. You don't run the meeting. Okay, it is board comment now. Just letting you know, don't think we're a bunch of heartless individuals. I was up front at Acadiana with the kids walking in, greeting them and walking them around the school. Didn't run, didn't hide. And they knew who I was. They knew. Tried to make them feel welcome, knowing they were being displaced. So please don't say that. And Mr. Wayne, there's a good bit of the zone of Comeaux is going to be going to Acadiana. Guess where those people went for decades? Acadiana, till they were zoned away. So no, I don't buy that one. But no, just so you know, I cared enough to be there to greet these kids, and I was prepared for whatever they had to say. I really was. One was a football player. He's excited to come to Acadiana if that's how it ends up. His daddy said he's going to get to compete for a district championship and maybe play for a state championship. I'm like, maybe so. He's like, this is not going to be a bad opportunity. So rescinding it does start it over again. You asked for it to be done right. I'm going to vote to rescind it. You can keep shaking your head, ma'am. Keep shaking your head, and you can talk about me on Facebook. You can do whatever you got to do. But no, you can't offer anything. You had public comment, and it was for or against. So just don't think we don't care, okay? But I can promise you, again, there are no problems in District 5. None of my constituents are calling me complaining.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other board comment? Again?
Please. I'll keep it as brief as I can. I want to thank Mr. Lachelet for saying that. I know there was a lot of excitement at Southside as well, and despite my position and on the vote and all of that, I think there's something that hasn't been said that needs to be said. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be the one to say it. There are 1,096 students who go to school in Lafayette Parish, currently at high schools in Lafayette Parish, that are zoned for Comeaux. That doesn't include the students who are in charter, private school, and homeschool. 1,096 students are zoned for Comeaux that go to school in Lafayette Parish high schools. And of the 1,096, the enrollment today is what? 660. We can continue to play the rezone games. I heard someone say that we should consider rezoning every 3 years. Are you a parent of a student and you're going to consider rezoning every 3 years? That is insane. So I wanted to, despite my position on this matter, I wanted to throw that statistic out. And Madam President, I know I already talked to you about this. I want to apologize for bringing it up at the meeting, but I have to because this is important to me. And you're going to make your ruling, and I appreciate it. But I know that this is a time-sensitive matter, and I know the meeting's scheduled for Thursday. And as I told you, just like the last meeting, don't matter whose fault it was, this meeting ain't mine because this has been planned for a long time, but I will not be in town all of next week. And I know that it's time-sensitive, but if you could even consider moving the meeting till Monday, I return on Sunday. I would appreciate you reconsidering. And if you don't, I'll get over it. But I would appreciate that consideration because I don't want it to be seen twice that I'm not here because I'm not running and hiding from it. I've never ran and hide from any topic. So that's something for you to consider in due time.
Thank you.
Mr.
Bastron?
One last quick thing because I got some numbers in front of me because I know Mr. Wayne's a number guy like me. He likes to hear the numbers. So enrollment from schools into the Career Center, right? So where do the kids from the Career Center come from? Or students, let me not call them kids, they are adults. Acadiana High School, 60. Karen Crow High School, 97. Karen Crow Middle School, 1, which, hey, good for them. Comeaux High School, 34. Lafayette High School, 105. Northside High School, 59. David Thibodeau, 18. They could come from anywhere. Southside High School, 107. And E.J. Sam, 20. Totals 501 students at Career Center. Over half come from what I would consider schools on the other side of town that have to travel across the city too right now. So either which way you split it, you move it to Comeaux, you keep it where it's at, roughly half of where the students are going to have to travel across the parish, right? Give or take. So it's a logistically transportation issue. The other issue is this too. Students aren't bused directly to EJ Salmon or directly to the Career Center from their home. I've done intake at Lafayette High in the mornings. They are bused to their school and then bus from their zone school to the Career Center. So keep that in mind too. We talk about transportation. They still got to make it to school in the morning. If you want to argue transportation, we can talk about transportation issues and everything else. But they don't have to get bused directly to the Career Center. They still have to make it to their home school. So consider that when we talk about logistics, how we get kids to. Or I keep saying kids. They are adults. the students to the Career Center in the mornings, right? Because I can tell you didn't take a Lafayette High, the students wait in the gym, and then a bus or two buses them to the Career Center, and then they're bused back to Lafayette High in the afternoon. So when we talk about logistics, I just want to make that clear. Thanks.
All right.
And I'm going to kind of tack on what Mr. Bazeron said. It's not only in the morning that they're picked up and brought to the Career Center. The other half is brought in lunch from their home-based school to the Career Center and back. So transportation to the Career Center has never been an issue. It's always worked perfectly. I spent a lot of years doing it, so it's not an issue with transportation.
All right, thank you. Yep, one more.
So since the Career Center sits in my district, I just want to make a comment in regards to that. And collectively, students from throughout the entire Lafayette Parish School District attend the Career Center. But the Career Center is where it currently located is a great location for the Career Center. And in regards to us as a school board, securing funds to build and to put so much more into Comeaux High, we could do the same thing at the current location where it is now and not have to make all of these moves. And so when we talk about disinvesting in certain areas of our parish, now we're taking or want to take that gym that is in District 4 in North Lafayette out of North Lafayette and move it to the south side, which is comparatively different in terms. I'm just
This is to
finishing
rescind
up
or not?
my comment. We have, as a board, been off topic a lot of things, and there have been a lot of comments that have been made. So I feel like I have that privilege as well to speak, because other board members have been given that privilege to speak off topic as well. That is all I wanted to state.
All right, thank you. Yes, Ms. LeBeau?
Mr. Bazeron, thank you for bringing up the numbers. Ms. Gardner, I think we ran the wait list numbers for the Career Center. They're relatively comparable as far as where the schools, the children are on the wait list from as current attendees, right? From the same geographic regions?
We didn't look at the geographical that were sitting, and the ones that weren't accepted.
Okay.
Sidebar with Ms. Richard right here. We had a conversation about
all right.
about the numbers today.
Okay, I have one question though.
On topic.
We have run the proposal that was put before the board was put before Mr. Mouton to run the numbers, correct?
What are you referring to?
The 3.5, as it was proposed, was put before Mr. Mouton and the numbers were calculated, correct?
The ones that were already quoted by Ms. Gardner?
What are you referring to?
Yeah, we need to stay on the rescinding.
I'm just saying, as far as 3.5, when the agenda item was created, Mr. Mouton, did you run numbers to calculate savings, closure, offline?
Okay, I'm gonna,
transportation, all of that?
I need to.
I just want to get confirmation that that's where the numbers were run for this proposal, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That was the $2
Okay.
million.
Ms. LeBeau.
Were any other numbers run for any other proposal by any other board member? No? Okay, I just want to get that cleared up.
All right, I call for the vote.
Mr.
We're gonna have a-
Bazeron?
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry. Oh, me? Yes.
To be clear, yes rescinds it.
Yes rescinds the vote. Yes, I still vote yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes.
Ms. LeBeau?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Lochley?
Yes.
Ms. Trahan?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mr. Lejeune?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
9 for, none against.
All right, motion passes. Moving on to item 2.4. Discussion and/or action concerning revisions to the LPSS District Administrative Rule Attendance Zone. All right, Mr. Latchley, is that you?
I'll go.
Raising your hand?
we're gonna have to
Ask
turn
that
it-
Okay, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to turn it
to
over
the attorney first.
Okay.
to our attorney,
Yep.
please.
Board members, you have a draft amendments to the rule in front of you, and I think we got it on the screen right now. As legal, we're asking that before the board consider and adopt the rule as revised, that we incorporate one change that we are requesting, and I think Ms. Gardner is handing that out now. The language on your screen right now highlighted in yellow, we would ask that that be stricken and in its place, the following language be substituted. In the event of a school closure, students who are impacted by the closure will attend the new school or schools to which they are assigned. And you have that language in front of you, so.
Right.
We would ask that that one change be made to the rule.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to take the attorney's recommendation.
Do I hear a second? All right, I have a motion by Mr. Brett Latchley, a second by Mr. David Lejeune. Do we have any public comment on the motion?
Suzanne Lagenay, and once again, I'm enacting the rights of Louisiana Revised Statute 4215A, which does not allow for the limitation and restriction of my public comment. LPSS is proposing revisions that remove important protections for students and families, and that should give this board serious pause. These changes eliminate language that previously allowed students to remain at their current school for an additional year following closures. What is the desperation to make these changes and cause such instability when you make choices to disrupt the lives of our students? Give the rising seniors their due tenure at their school and let them finish. Do you all forget that you serve the public and the greater good of our students and our community? That provision was not just policy, it was stability and the ability for these students to settle in to a new transition. Removing it causes abrupt disruptions, especially when done this late in the school year, as y'all have done this year, to students in a sense of community, continuity, and system supports without offering a reasonably timely transition. At the same time, LPSS is restricting transportation for students who may still be eligible to remain at their current school with rezoning attendance. This creates a situation where even if a student technically has the option to stay at their school, the choice becomes unrealistic and accessible for many families. We so proudly fund private school transportation, and we yank away public school transportation when we should be fighting for more of that, not taking it away. Any board member who votes for these changes is effectively limiting stability in the choice of any future students who choose to stay at their schools that are affected by y'all decisions mid-high school career, especially those students of working families and homes and economically disadvantaged families, the ones that we should be protecting the most and offering more resources and stability to, not taking it away from them. It is so concerning that public resources, once again, are used to provide private school transportation, yet the public school students are being asked to increase and shoulder the burdens of increased decisions that y'all make. This contradiction should not be allowed. Reminder, this is a public school for the greater good of the public. This is not a charter school. This is not a private school, and you all work for the public. You all work for the betterment of the public, not taking away chances and opportunity. Additionally, LPSS has removed language informing families about their rights regarding athletic hardship waivers through Louisiana High School Athletic Association. Why is LPSS taking away information that helps the families navigate these important transitions? That is not supporting the students. That is withholding opportunity.
All right, thank you.
Ma'am, my rights, my statutory rights supersede board policy.
Ma'am, we have rules for our
And you're
meetings.
breaking my statutory rights.
Ma'am.
Students,
4214 in subsection D, it says they have a right to rules and restrictions.
it says except school boards.
Actually, it's for school boards.
No, sir, I have it pulled up right here. It says, except school boards, 42, and it says we're governed by 4215.
Ma'am, can you just wrap up?
I am trying to wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. Okay. Students who are being denied this right that found it, he told me I could wrap up. The
Okay,
attorney just
let's
did.
let her finish
She's gonna
her
wrap up.
sentence.
Yeah,
Finish
ma'am,
your
if you could
sentence,
just
ma'am.
wrap up.
Students who are being denied this right found it because you all gave them this information. Don't remove this language. LPSS could also clearly define what constitutes a reasonable time with these revisions. Without that clarity, families are left uncertain and vulnerable to inconsistent implementation. There is also a concern.
Ma'am, you need to finish your sentence.
I am. I
and be
have
done.
a couple more sentences. There is also concern about the process. Just yesterday, y'all tried scheduling a hearing for tonight. Is that reasonable time? Y'all need to add verbiage to the law and to the rules that dictate just what is reasonable time so the public isn't
All
confused.
right, thank you, ma'am. Do we have any other public comment?
You violated my statutory rights. I wasn't
Thank
done.
you. All right, is there any other public comment? Are you coming, ma'am? Thank you. Is there anyone coming after this lady? Go ahead and you can come to the second chair, please. All right, thank you. Please stay on the motion. Thank
My
you.
name is Victoria Stroy.
Thank you.
I have not prepared anything, however, I'm deeply involved. I want to say first, thank you for letting us have this moment. Mr. Lejeune, you're an honorable man. I know you from way back when my kids were in school, and
I remember you.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, and I have all positive things on your behalf. Miss Amy, I'm behind you 100%. My husband and I, Dr. Stroy and I, moved here in 1999. We are actually 5-10 minutes away from Comeaux. 3 of our 6 kids that were still the school age have attended public schools. We are a public school family. It's just different because this is so upside down, and the board should be working with the community and with the taxpayers instead of against it. And with these charter schools coming up, being so-called somewhat private, public run, that should be the focus in the fight. My tax dollars, I love community schools, and I think school of choice is nice because they have different programs, which some of these programs have been yanked, dismantled, and then so their attendance is lower. And then you're going to put these other kids, all these kids from Comeaux, in all these already overpopulated schools. So it makes no sense. So out of deep respect, all these things need to be taken into consideration. And it should not be undermining to communities, taxpayers, and not being transparent. So again, all these things need to be taken into consideration, and it is a hardship. My granddaughter graduated from there. 3 of our kids graduated from Comeaux. We're a public school family, and it should be considered and respected. Anything to say?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Be sure you speak into the mic so we can hear you. Thank you.
John Stroy.
Thank you.
I'm a physician, so I'd like to comment on the business aspect here. Like I say, we've been here close to 30 years. The other thing, about that is that when you first come to a community, you're asked which school is in your zone, and that may reflect, if you close Comeaux, it may reflect the real estate in that area may go down. And people may not want to move in your community. Now, we live in the fastest growing zip code in Lafayette. That's 70508. I've seen the zip code grow unanimously, And I think you have too. And there were no, for example, super Walmarts when I first came to town. And other things And the, you know, other things that they try to get everybody to move to, what is it, Youngsville and Broussard, you know. And even though Barat School Road has been double lane, have you seen the traffic at 3 o'clock? Trying to go to Youngsville, have you seen the traffic after 7 o'clock in the morning trying to come in town? You know, and then the other thing is that you got flooding in those areas, which hasn't been corrected. I mean, all these things play a part in that. And I think you're trying to dismantle a community, school, you know, for a particular zip code, 70508. So all the businesses have you know, multiplied in that area. But what about the residents in that area and the kids? You see, I think you're taking away from the kids in that area.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any other public comment? All right, we are commenting on the motion that's on the floor. That's what we're trying to stay on.
So I came here because my school, closing, as you can see. I have not a lot of things to say about this motion, but I'll say what I can. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get there to get to my bus stop, and I get to school at 6:30. My bus ride is an hour long, and I can guarantee you that this rezoning and all this talking about multiple kids going to these other schools, my bus rides will only get more packed and more what's the word I'm looking for? Lengthy, yes. It's just, sorry, I'm I didn't have anything prepared. I'm nervous. I don't want to sit on a bus for 2 hours long and having to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's not okay for my mental and educational state. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Bennett, and I'm opposed to the change to the district administrative rule. For starters, it's pretty obvious that you forgot that this rule ever existed. It was created for a purpose, to protect the students from the irreparable harm that abruptly shutting down a school will cause. It was created to protect the students that you represent. It's blatantly clear that you don't care, I'm going to say it again, about the students that you represent. If you want to do a better job of faking it, you should probably wait more than a week after leaving the courtroom to try to change the policy. Also, you should probably consult with the attorney regarding LARS 17158 before trying to deny the students with transportation as retaliating for them speaking out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none. Is there any board comment? Yes, Mr. Bergeron?
To the attorney, the whole section that was struck from the policy regarding high school athletic eligibility, can you ask us why that was? Was there a reason behind striking that?
No, that's not the provision that we recommended. Yeah, that's a staff question on LHSAA.
Yeah, LHSAA governs all of that. That is something that, we have no control over. We can't, determine those different things. Mr. Jeffers, is that correct in stating that? So.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the policy we have for a high school athletic eligibility is not in alignment with what the LHSAA is saying?
We don't have a policy for LHSAA rules. The LHSAA handbook governs LHSAA bylaws and rules and things of that nature.
So regardless what we put in the policy, we still have to follow
Correct.
LHSAA eligibility?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I don't know why that was put in there in the first place.
Yeah, there was no need for it to be in there, and that's what we're saying. I mean, we can't, even if you have it in there, you cannot supersede the rules of the LHSAA.
All right, fair enough.
All right, thank you.
The second thing I have is, the addition that we're changing, that I have the sheet in front of me, says, in the event of a school closure, students who are impacted by the closure will attend the new schools with they are assigned. That does include students in magnet academies, right? Like if they're affected by the change, they will move with their zone school. I just want to make it clear that's not only just zone schools, but magnet academy participants as well, correct?
That would be to Ms. Gardner.
Gardner?
Yes, sir. So what would happen, just like, the program would move. So just like, I'm going to use Comeaux as the example, the ROTC program would move, or it's now been rescinded. It would have moved to Acadiana High School. The students would have automatically been given the opportunity to follow through no matter where they were zoned for.
Okay, thank you. Next question, and I guess this is back to either Ms. Jennifer or to Superintendent Touchette. Part of these changes doesn't change the fact that we still have to have a forum in case of a school closure, correct? Like, that still has to happen.
Do you mean a public hearing?
A public hearing, correct. This does not change that fact, right?
No, sir.
Last thing I want to add, how we used to do things when there were zonings or closings, or zonings, because I don't think, I can't remember a closing when we've done it, but anyways, for a rezoning, the board would say, hey, like, we're going to allow people to, what's the proper term? Attrition out.
Rising?
Rising, yes.
Yes, sir.
We can still allow that in.
It's still here.
Okay, so juniors and
For a
seniors.
rezone, yes, sir.
So juniors and seniors as part of a rezone can still stay at their zone school,
They have the option to.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to be clear on that, because that's been a huge thing with the board, that like, hey, we need to make sure that like, hey, if the board feels like we need to allow students who are already juniors and seniors to stay at their current school, even if they're rezoned, I just want to make sure we still hold that power. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, Mr. Hidalgo?
Yeah, I was on the board when this policy was put together, and I can say with certainty, it was never the intent, I don't know if it was poorly written or what, but it was never the intent to say, hey, we're going to close a school, but you can stay there. That's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. So I know, I hear the frustration, but that certainly wasn't the intent. So I don't know I don't know who came up with that outcome. I guess it just was poorly written. It was kind of lumped in one, even though it was not very specific about it. So that's the only way, not the only way, but that I can support that, because it doesn't make sense.
All right, any further? Is there any further board comment?
One time.
Sorry, Mr. Lashley?
I'm gonna reference this to Mr. Hidalgo. We were both on the board, and we were new, we were young, a lot younger. I don't remember voting on it, or why it was even brought up at the time. That's gonna look, Ms. Gardner's smiling. She knows I'm gonna ask for her to maybe one day during the week pull it up on video or get the minutes from that meeting as to why and where this came from. A lot of stuff was pushed on us early, but like I don't have any clue why this was voted in.
All right, thank you. Yes, Ms. Trahan?
Okay, so I would like to ask the superintendent and his cabinet, when we do get changes to any documents, if you all could do like track changes, that way we can see what all is being tracked rather than highlights to it. Like, I actually went through the document, both documents, and there are sections that are moved to different sections on the document. So it was kind of like, okay, I thought a piece was missing, but then it was like moved from maybe page 1 or 2 to page 4 or 3. So I'd ask that first of all, instead of highlights, just like track changes, because we've had documents that's brought to us as the school, as board members, and it actually had the track changes. So I'd ask that first of all. I'm a little bit curious about what we was given this proposed substitute motion just being given to us like during the meeting. Like, could this not have been given to us prior? Because like, I actually provide and have like little small pocket meetings with my community regarding the board agenda. So, you know, I don't have the time to say, okay, look, this is going to be a change, because now we're sitting here right now being given this change here. I'm just curious, like, is there some reason why legal is providing this change, like why you had to provide this substitute motion? So I was just curious about that as well. Is there something pertinent, something like relevant, why that came in that manner? And I have further comments on this as well.
Sure. No, as, you know, because the matter had already been essentially, you know, posted, you know, we began to look at it as well, I guess study it a little bit more closely, and yeah, we wish we would have looked at it a little bit more closely. And that was just one thing we saw that, you know, it probably should be worded a little better. And so that's essentially why we're doing it. We just feel like the rule will read a little better, and it wouldn't necessarily have just flow better, you know, kind of keeping certain sections within a section instead of referring back to another section.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. And to the superintendent regarding, and maybe Mr. Jeffers as well, regarding the section regarding athletic eligibility, that's a question that I had as well in that regard. And so what harm would it do to leave something like this in the policy that says refer to the LHSA policies as it is adopted by LHSSA? I'm just wondering why we would, you know, move that, because it seems like, okay, we're just taking that away from our athletes, but in fact, there's a valid reason for it, but we're removing it from the policy, so it looks like, okay, we're removing that from our athletes. So perception matters as well in terms of policy or plans in that regard. Regarding the word reasonably on the first page, that's hard for me to accept, that word, because it's left to subjectivity what reasonably is. It's reasonably a day? Is it a week? Is it a month? What is reasonably? So if this is a district administrative policy, I'm curious as to what that actually means in that regard, reasonably. And I don't mean Webster's dictionary definition. I mean, like, what truly is the intent in that regard? And then my last, I think my last comment regarding this is on page 4 regarding conduct a minimum of one public hearing. One public hearing for closure of a school, that's really not a lot. At minimum, we should have at least 2 public hearings because people work at different times. We have no idea. We may have an 8 to 5 job, but some parents and some community members may not be able to make the time for one meeting if it's only one meeting. So those are the things that, Superintendent, if you could address.
First of all, the only changes that we've made were the ones that were highlighted. So everything else was part of the policy that was established in 2016 that Mr. Hidalgo was referencing. So reasonably, one public hearing, all of those different things are just things that we're taking from the previous policy.
And I think what Mr. Hidalgo mentioned was, you know, maybe it wasn't like well written. I just think as we are here this evening, in particular, since this actual rule is part of what is currently in the legal hands right now, it would just behoove me not to speak on that matter to legal as well as you, Superintendent, and my fellow board members.
All right, thank you for the comment. All right, I call for the vote.
Ms. LeBeau? Yes. Ms. Trahan?
No.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond? No. Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Lachele?
Yes.
Mr. Lejeune?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
That will be 7 for, 2 against. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on to the final item. Discussion and/or action to revise policy ADB, maximum school enrollment.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the revisions to policy ADB, maximum school enrollment.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Lashley and a second by, I'm sorry, I wasn't looking, Hidalgo? Or was it Badger? I wasn't looking. I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out your voice. So the second is by Mr. Bergeron. Do we have any public comment? All right, please stay on the topic.
Suzanne Lagenet, and once again enacting my rights of Louisiana Revised Statute 4215A, which was clarified with the officers that it is my statutory right. Board Attorney, can you please advise me what governing law rules over my public comment so there is no confusion?
Madam, we're board attorney. We don't provide legal advice.
Oh,
to
okay,
people
perfect.
of the general public.
So that the board approves these revisions in the maximum student enrollment, I have to speak out against this once again. LPSS teachers and support staff are already stretched beyond capacity, and increasing the maximum enrollment numbers does not just solve those problems, it only will compound them. Instead of raising these limits, LPSS should be looking at how to reduce them and ensure classrooms are staffed and supported in a way that allows our educators to be effective with our children. Right now, the system is showing clear signs of strain whenever we have schools in urgent need of intervention for SPED programs, which are a federally protected class of children. There are concerns about campus access and basic security procedures not being consistently enforced. Special education and ESL services are struggling to meet students' needs. Schools are providing rotating lunch schedules multiple times throughout the day that even then the students do not have adequate time to eat and get in line. They are at such inconvenient times that they're eating really early in the day or really late in the afternoon, which do not allow them to properly focus on their education. Students are currently forced between using the restroom and being tardy because facilities are overcrowded between classes. That's not a minor inconvenience to our children. That is a daily barrier to our students, especially whenever we're talking about basic necessities of using the bathroom and eating lunch. Teachers have shared that some of the students are not eating at all, simply because there's just not enough time. How do y'all want to increase student capacity at campuses whenever our students can't even get to eat on time? This is going to directly impact their focus, their behavior, and their overall academic performance. These are not isolated issues, and y'all have heard them expressed in this room plenty of times by many students. This is a system-wide indicator that capacity has already been exceeded beyond what we are capable of providing to our students. And yet, LPSS is here proposing to increase it further. That is the very wrong direction to be going in. An effective learning environment requires manageable class sizes, staffing, and systems that support and not strain our students and educator. Bigger is not better when it comes to education. Louisiana's strength is a community-centered, where growing school sizes is not going to be keeping it community-centered in the school environment. In a state that ranks 48th in education, we should be seeking quality in our schools over quantity of our students. This proposal moves LPSS further away from that.
All right, ma'am, thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Hello again.
Can you state your name again?
Yeah, I'm Briley Hammett. So as she was saying just now, I can confirm I was one of the students. I went to LHS my first 2 months of my junior year. I was one of the kids who couldn't eat because the bell had rang and the lunch lines were so long. I think 2 weeks into the school year, they ran out of food. I'm not, like, they did run out of food. They had to send out an announcement to the teachers that some kids wouldn't be able to make it to class on time because the staff had to cook more food. Yeah, so I just wanted to back up what she said. That definitely did happen. Thank you for your time.
All right, next.
Good evening, my name is Sarah Bennett. Again, this was another point that was brought up when pushing back against the closure of Comeaux. It's kind of funny how you all claim that the closure of Comeaux will not put schools over capacity. So I requested the current attendance of all schools as well as the maximum student capacity. Guess you realize you couldn't fit 200 students in the seat of 2 at Southside. Maximum student capacity was 1785. You had 1783 students. So you magically found a way to inflate the seats. It's very interesting that suddenly all of the schools are configured in a way that can all support the exact same amount of students. My question that you won't answer, have you considered the lunch periods? Southside already has 3 lunch periods with 25 minutes. The LHS students just spoke about having to eat in class or not being able to eat at all. The Louisiana Department of Education actually recommends a minimum of 30 minutes with 20 minutes of seat time for lunch. This is already not happening at least 2 of your schools. What logistics were considered when issuing this blanket revision to the maximum student capacity? Thank you.
All right, next.
My name is Brooklyn Hammett, and I did want to back up everyone that talked today. I was a student at Lafayette for a few months, and I can confirm that we had 30 minutes to eat, but we had 2 different lunch lines, and some kids were still either not eating or got their food 5 to 2 minutes before the bell. And another thing that will another reason that the increasing the maximum capacity will do is kids were already, as someone who rode the bus, kids were already having to stand up because of the overfilled buses, and it's not right. It's unsafe, not right, and making the number higher and letting more people go to these schools will only complicate that issue further. Thank you.
Young lady, are you speaking Lafayette High, the new campus or the old campus?
The new campus.
Is there any further comment? All right, seeing none, a call for the board. Yes, Mr. Hidalgo.
Got you. I've got a couple questions and a couple statements. Why does this policy exist?
Well, first of all, board members, this is a policy that was developed by several different boards. Started off in 1990, and went to 1997 revision, and in 2015 was the last time it was revised.
Yeah, I see it. I just don't understand why it exists. I mean, you can't just blatantly say high school's 2,000 students because not all high schools hold the same amount of students. One of the biggest things while this is a tough job, one of the things that's real tough is seeing folks come up, or whether it's here or on the street in my district, and they're arguing their position on any matter, but specifically let's talk about this one. They're arguing their position on the matter. It's tough because you got to make a decision, and you have people that argue both sides. Of course, right now we know what the louder side is, and I respect that, and I think I've been very clear on my position. But what bothers me the most is the inaccurate arguments. You can come up here and say something over and over and over, but if it's not true, it's not going to become true. So I'm going to ask folks to think about this. Ask yourself, which campus is a larger campus? Is Comeaux High School campus a larger campus, or is Southside High School campus a larger campus? Answer that in your own mind. Now let me tell you this, something you're not going to be able to unlearn and something that maybe the media might report on. In 2016, Comeaux High School campus had 2,042 students on its campus. We didn't hear anything about lunches and buses and all this stuff. And listen, I sympathize with you guys, but we have to stick to something that it could make a difference. This is not a good argument, guys. There was 2,042 students on Comeaux's campus, and you're going to tell me we can't hold 2,000 students at Southside, and we can't hold 2,500 students at Lafayette High? when people are sitting up here and they have to decide yes or no, and they decide what you personally disagree with, and then you say, well, you're not listening to the people. No, we're not listening to you, and there may be reasons for it. I'm asking you to think about that when you come up with your arguments, because that argument, while it sounds emotional, it just doesn't make sense to me just based on what I just told you. I want to, respectfully, and I mean this, I would like to offer a substitute motion that we actually repeal policy ADB.
I'll second it.
All right?
It's a senseless policy.
All right, so we have a motion to rescind the policy, a substitute motion to
Rescind the
delete.
entire, delete the policy. Yep.
Attorney, can you give us correct language, please?
Go back to public comment. Usually you have your motion.
Right, we need to
second,
go back
and then
to
a
public
substitute
comment,
would
which
follow
is fine.
with public
I
comment.
made my motion.
Okay, so we have a new motion on the floor. What is the correct wording? Rescind this
A
policy?
substitute motion to abolish the policy.
Abolish.
It's a correct motion, but I would recommend we go back to public comment before.
Certainly.
Okay, we'll be happy to. So, Madam Secretary, can you help us get the correct wording? The motion is to abolish, no, say it again, please.
Make a substitute motion to abolish policy ADB.
Do I need to resecond?
And we have a second by Ms.
Mhm.
Kate LeBeau.
Mm-hmm.
And now, is there any public comment? Please stay on topic.
Suzanne Lagenet, y'all realize that this policy, the verbiage in it is when recommendations for school zones are to be made and revised? Y'all are just gonna let our school district go without any policy in place that says, hey, this is when we should revisit rezoning our schools? I don't have a completed copy of it because y'all made changes in the middle of the meeting with it. So it's in so many chopped bits and pieces. But this is the agenda item that we're voting on, and this is a very specific rule for the very specific intent of revising our school zones whenever we reach a certain capacity.
Thank you. Do we have any other? Yes, Mr. Wayne Colvin.
Just quickly, could y'all pull up that policy on the board? Is there any way to do that?
We just had it. We just.
I don't have a printed copy.
Ms. Gardner, can you,
Oh, you got a printed copy, I'll look at that. I mean,
oh,
I just want to see it, yeah. Thank you. She gave you one.
all right. Next.
My name is Tammy Bennett. I just wanted to comment on something that Mr. Hidalgo said. Comeaux was at 2,024 capacity, you said, correct? 42. And wasn't that why we needed Southside? Was to eliminate the overcrowding? I'm just confused because you're saying we thought it was okay, but obviously we didn't. That's why we built another school.
President didn't stop you from asking me a question, but I'm
I'm
not going to
sorry,
answer that.
I just-
I'm not going to answer that based on the fact that no matter how you propose it, we can both argue all day long and get to the same result right here.
I
Okay?
just
Yes,
feel
that's why it
like
was
the
built.
schools are already
And what?
overcrowded.
And what? And we solved the problem, and now we have charter school problems and many, many other things that you guys don't want to talk about on social media.
All right, thank you. Let's keep it to public comment, please.
Julia Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators, speaking in opposition to the elimination of this policy. From an employee standpoint, I think it is dangerous to remove a limit. Previously, a previous board did allow a high school to get very overcrowded, and I know that none of you would ever allow that right now, and I don't think Mr. Touchette would allow that either. However, when you leave a door open, someone will eventually try to walk through it. And so it is not, smaller schools are more beneficial to students, they're more beneficial to the staff. I work at a small school, I know every single student's name, every single student's name, all 257 of them. And so if you are overcrowding students, teachers just cannot provide the same level of education. Cafeteria staff get stretched, custodians. We would just ask that you not completely rescind the policy and leave that door open to future board or superintendent to allow that to happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Sarah Bennett, and again, this is another question that I'm just going to throw out there that I know doesn't have to be answered, but how this policy is created to eliminate the issues like the lunch, the transportation, all of those things that we just brought up. So how do y'all plan on eliminating that without saying, hey, at this point, we have too many students? What's the game plan to alleviate the lunch issues, the transportation issues that we already have, and we have students who are saying that it is happening. So I guess that some people doesn't matter though.
Madam President,
Thank you.
if you would
Yes,
mind.
Mr. Aldair.
I think it's important for the public to know, probably should have known before they spoke, is that I'm just trying to eliminate the dog and pony show that this policy has created over the years. This policy's been revised several times, and every time, they've increased the capacity of the schools.
Okay.
So this is a dog and pony show of, are we gonna keep doing that, or are we just gonna actually do what's right for all the students on every campus when all campuses don't have the same capacity?
Right. Valid point. Thank you. All right, can we continue?
My name is Mark Bergeau, proud graduate of Comeaux High School of 1991, by the way, and which at that time was over 2,000 students at that time, coming off of an oil depression where we lost students, because it was more than that whenever I started in 1987. And the high school seemed to run very fine back then. There was none of these issues, but something has certainly broken over the last 35 years since I graduated. Because how is it that everything was able to run fine back then and there was never issues with students missing lunch, not having time to eat, not having time to be able to go to the bathroom, and then today we can't even handle 2,000 students, or even less than that, in Southside High, where a student sat here in the last meeting and stated that there are 10 teachers that do not have a permanent room to teach in. They have to move around the school to be able to teach their classes. They have to, and we have students sitting here with all due respect, Mr. Hidalgo, that it's not emotion. The students have sat here tonight saying they don't have time to eat lunch. They have missed lunch. My son is in special education at Broussard Middle right now, supposed to go to Comeaux next year. It was exciting to be able to have him go to the school that I graduated from, that both of my older brothers graduated from, that one of my nieces graduated from. And right now, everything's in upheaval. I have no doubt about the staff at Southside. I went to the meet and greet right after the meeting last month. Great people there. There's people I know that teach there, but I have concerns with more students going to that school. My son has trouble being he's autistic. They had the special classes at Comeaux. Thankfully, the principal at Southside told us if Comeaux does close and he has to go over there, at least they're gonna have the special classes there for my son that he's currently in at Broussard that they had at Comeaux, and they're gonna have those classes for special education for autistic kids at Southside. But I worry about how overcrowded that school is. He has enough trouble right now not, being it's too noisy in the school. He has sometimes he doesn't want to go to school because it's too noisy, because he's uncomfortable being around a crowd. And Comeaux, yes, did have fewer students. That's why Southside was open, supposed to alleviate the overcrowding. And if we just leave it open to interpretation, I fear what's going to happen next. We can't have this just go fly by night off the seat of our pants and trying to figure out how many students we're going to put here in the school next as time goes by. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any further public comment? All right, seeing none, move to the board. Yes, Ms. Bergeron. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
You already asked. Mr. Latchley.
Yeah, kind of boggles my mind also. When I got to KDN in 1975, they had almost 2,000 students. Lafayette High had well over 2,000 students. Comeaux was probably the same thing. Northside had a bunch. We didn't have these problems. I don't know why you have these problems now. I'm going to address the teachers moving classrooms. How many empty classrooms do we need to have at a time when a teacher has a planning period and that classroom is empty? How about we utilize that classroom and better utilize the space? That's why teachers, it's called roving. That's a good thing. That's better utilizing our space instead of having 10 classrooms empty at one time. That's 10 more classes you can have. I don't get the part of lunch. I never missed a lunch. I was never, and if the bell rang on me, it was for doing one thing, running my mouth and not eating and not talking. So, you know, Mr. Hidalgo makes a great point. He makes a great point. I don't know why these are supposedly problems now when over 40-something years ago it wasn't a problem. And these schools had a lot more students. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know who she's talking to. No, 2,000 students is 2,000 students, whether it was 1975 or now. We didn't have these problems, so I don't know what the problem is. I don't get it. I live at Acadiana High. Mr. Lejeune was the principal there for 9 years. I never left that school. Couldn't wait to get out and never left. I don't see these problems. You know, capacity, Acadiana's getting a brand new wing up front. Okay, capacity is not going to be a problem at all. The old school held 2,000 students. What do you think the new addition is going to hold? And why was Southside built, Mr. Hidalgo? Remember what we were trying to stop? A charter high school. We build a brand new Southside. We got Southside, we got Comeaux on that side. We're going to stop a charter high school. The war had started. We didn't stop it. You want to know why Southside was built? That was probably 75% of the reason we built Southside. Because remember, Lafayette High needed to be refurbished, rebuilt. That place was falling apart. We had money available. What did we do? We didn't go to Lafayette High, which is where we were supposed to go, correct? We went with Mr. Hidalgo, we built a new high school to stop a charter. I think it's called ARCA now. We didn't stop it. So that was the main reason. And then once that was done, then the rezoning and so forth and so on. But that's the main reason Southside was built. Wasn't necessarily overcrowding in any high school. It was to stop charter schools. And Lord knows we didn't do it.
Thank you. Do we have any other board comment? Yes, Ms. Bergeron?
Yes, so I'm going to start with addressing the Lafayette High lunch stuff, because I do lunch duty in my schools. I'm not going to say your problem doesn't exist, all right? I'm not going to say that. I will, my email address is public. Send me an email with your experience. I know Lane Edelman. I'll talk to Lane and see what's going on. They may have made some adjustments from the beginning of the year. It was a new school. I get it. There was potentially some logistic problems. I'm not going to act like it doesn't exist. I'll take it up, because I've done lunch duty. I've watched the lines, right? But our perception and our anecdotal views of things can differ depending on the day. Some days they may have problems, some days they don't. I want to make sure I address them, right? So I'll talk to Lane about that. Ms. Reed is one of my constituents, and I love her to death. I get where you're coming from with this policy. The numbers are arbitrary, though, to an extent. 2,000 kids at Lafayette High and 2,000 kids at Northside High. If we put 2,000 kids at Northside High, I think it'd be a little cramped there. Just saying. I'd rather revisit the policy and say, could it be a percentage? Could it be to me that's equal, because like if a school can hold 1,600 kids and we put 2,000 there, like, yeah, it's gonna be a little rough. Lafayette High can hold 2,300 kids according to the fire marshal and the architect plans, right? So putting 2,000 kids or 2,001 kids, let's say, would be less of an issue than if we put 2,001 kids at like a Northside High or a Karen Crow High or whatever. So like to Jeremy's point, we're just gonna adjust the numbers whenever this issue keeps coming up. It doesn't address the core problem though. I do also have an issue, and I see we're trying to address it. If we build more K-8 schools, do we go off the elementary number or do we go off the middle school number? Which number do we go off of? And so that's why we're combining it. So just to be clear, We're not trying to put 1,400 kids into school. This policy, again, is being changed because the buildings we're building are different. And like, it's just it's a roving number. So I do agree with Ms. Reed, that like, it does matter the capacity of the schools, and it does affect if we're over capacity, et cetera. But these numbers don't reflect the potential problems. Again, 2,000 kids at Lafayette High School is a different problem than 2,000 kids at Carencro High or Northside High, or et cetera. I'd rather us revisit the policy on what triggers a rezoning, or what allows us to take up a motion of rezoning, than throwing the policy away. So I believe the intent of the policy was to make sure that the board had a trigger to say, when do we talk about rezoning, or when do we talk about school enrollment, or do we build wing additions, or however we tackle it, right? I think that's the intent of the policy, is to adjust, is to have a trigger for overcrowding. So I don't agree with getting rid of the policy, but I do agree with potentially completely rewriting this policy to address overcrowding. And that's my thoughts.
Thank you. Do we have any other board comment? Oh, sorry, Ms. Trahan.
So I don't support just abolishing this policy, because this policy is very important, because it really sets the capacity, the enrollment caps on our schools. And we still do have middle schools in our school district as a whole as well. So we don't just have elementary/middle schools. We have elementary schools, we have middle schools, we have high schools. And as a board and as a district, we put caps on our class size. So the capacity, the enrollment numbers do matter. And so why wouldn't it matter for this? There is capacity limits for other things in just our everyday life. We have capacity limits in terms of the amount of people who could be in this particular boardroom. So enrollment numbers, capacity limits, that does matter. And I feel like if we abolish this, then we allow room for potentially one school to have so many students enroll at potentially the demise of another school. So I wouldn't be in support of that at all. And the other part to this policy is that we're striking a word out of the paragraph where it says it shall be the responsibility of the superintendent, and we're striking that to say it will be the responsibility. What's like the real purpose of even changing that verbiage in that regard? And you know, I would love to think that North Lafayette high schools also, you know, had the luxury of having a new build, like for Northside to have a new build when charter schools started coming in to the comments in regards to, the prior boards built trying to ward off or, look in advance for, the potential charter schools. Well, the same thing happens on the north side as well. Charter schools have come in, but we haven't looked at how we're going to really address that as well. So there's lots of things about this policy that I would not agree in totally abolishing it. And in District 4, we have 2 high schools. One, of course, is a academy school, but it's still 2 high schools. So if we just allow enrollment to continue to increase and not have limits on enrollment counts, then what we could have really high at one high school and then not so high at another, and then so that would continue to dwindle that high school and kids wanting to go to that high school. So there's a lot about this policy that I personally think we should be having further conversations about and not really trying to abolish it.
All right, thank you. Yes, Mr. Lejeune.
I'm going to kind of agree with the numbers. It's hard to put a blanket number on a school because you just don't know exactly what or how much they can hold. Like I lived it. I lived Comeaux, I lived Lafayette High, and I lived Acadiana. And we had lots of students, but we made it work. Educators are resilient, administrators are resilient, and students are resilient. They make it work. But I like the policy, I like a number, but I don't think it should be a blanket number. Acadiana should have a number. Northside should have a number. Karen Crow should have a number. And that way, when it gets to capacity, then you have the discussion of moving neighborhoods. When I was at Acadiana, we moved the neighborhood. We moved it, we were overcrowded, we moved it to Lafayette High. When Lafayette High got overcrowded, we moved the neighborhood back to Acadiana. So it can be done, but it gets to a point where you can't just put a blanket 2,500 kids, because Acadiana cannot hold 2,500 kids. We'd be in the same situation. We had 32 portable building classrooms when I was at Acadiana. We're getting rid of those buildings with a brand new wing, and I do not want to have to see another portable building on our campus or any campus in Lafayette Parish. It's not conducive to learning. So I think the policy is good, but I think a blanket number is not good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, Ms. LeBou, or did we skip you, Mr. Edmond? Okay, all right. Ms. LeBou?
Our district administrative rule that we previously voted on says the size of schools shall be in accordance with the average school enrollment for similarly organized schools elsewhere in the district. To me, that sets right there the tone that we're going to make sure that all middle schools are equally zoned, all high schools are equally zoned, or similarly organized schools elsewhere in the district. So I think it's kind of repeating what we're trying to do in the other. Also, I'm sure the fire marshal has a number for each school, and I'm sure that we have to abide with that. Legislation requires us to have a student-teacher ratio of a certain amount. So I know Ms. Gardner is poring over those numbers every day when we are talking about enrollment in schools. And each school, as Mr. Lejeune said, you can't have a blanket number because schools are not going to be a blanket number. They're going to be what the capacity is. And whatever our staff and student-teacher ratio, planning periods, how many classrooms can you use at a time, what other facilities can be used. So that's why I think we do away with the policy, because this policy that we previously voted on requires us the superintendent to report to us on current attendance zones, population of schools, population of the current attendance zones, projected growth. So all of that's already taken into effect in the district administrative rule that we previously discussed in the prior. So just having this one just seems duplicitous. It also seems to be irrelevant because we're not going to stick 2,000 kids or 2,500 kids in a school that can't accommodate 2,500 kids. So I just think the numbers are irrelevant, and I think that if we eliminate it, we're going to do the right thing because A, we legally have to, but B, we're not going to put kids in a school over the recommendation of the fire marshal, over the legislation that requires a student-teacher ratio, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I think that we should abolish it and just look at each school independently and make the adjustments as needed year by year versus trying to come up with a number that will look at it when it reaches that number, because that number doesn't accommodate every school. So thank you.
All right. Mr. Doggett, are you going to pass?
She kind of stole my thunder. Yeah, I think this policy is redundant. However, I do hear the opposition to my motion, and I say we abolish this, and if we want another policy to come forth to be more specific numbers, a double policy, then of course I can support that. But this policy is a horrible policy.
All right, thank you. Mr. Edmond. All right, thank you. Madam Secretary, call for the vote. Yes, we're on the substitute motion here to abolish this policy.
Yes, board members, you are voting on a substitute motion. The motion is to abolish policy ADB. Okay. Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Ms. Trahan?
No.
Ms. LeBou?
Yes.
Mr. Lachele?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond? No. Mr. Lejeune?
No.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Bergeron?
No.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Yes.
5-4, 4 against.
All right. Motion carries and the policy is abolished. All right, that was the last item. This meeting is adjourned.